Welcome to Storytime with Nanny, day 46. Now, there was one day last week, remember I told you my mom was getting rid of some books. Some were mine, some were around long before I was. And so we've been reading some of those. They're not in the best shape because they've been around for so many years and have been handled so much. And we had read some nursery rhymes. Now this book has some more nursery rhymes, so we're not going to read all of them because some of them we've already read. Some of them, one reason I'm going to go ahead and read this is because I'm trying to remember, and I'm afraid if I wait much longer I won't remember which ones we may have already read. Some we may reread. Some may be a different version of what we read last week because it's in a different book. But it's nursery rhymes and songs, and I'll spare y'all the singing part though. But it said music by Helen Dallum and illustrated by Corinne Malvern, and it is, it's an old book from 1944. It's just, not that anybody that was born at that time is old, it's just the book itself has been around for a little while. But I'm going to try to read some of the ones in here that we may not have read prior. So if I reread something we read in a different book, but it's the same, pardon me, maybe it'll be a different version of it, because there were some different versions in the little nursery rhymes. We're going to start with I saw a ship a-sailing. I saw a ship a-sailing on the sea, and oh, it was all laden with pretty things for thee. There were comfits in the cabin and apples in the hold. There were sails were of silk, and the masts were made of gold. The 24 sailors that stood between the decks were 24 white mice with chains around their necks. The captain was a duck with a packet on his back, and when the ship began to move, the captain said, "Quack, quack." I know we read that one already. Kitty cat, where have you been? I've been to London to look at the Queen. Kitty cat, what did you do there? I frightened the little mouse under the chair. Now here's the patty cake one we read last week that had a different version to it. Patty cake, baker's man, bake me a cake as fast as you can. Roll it and pat it and mark it with a B and put it in the oven for baby and me. And that's the version I grew up hearing, was we're baking a cake. That says, how many miles to Babylon? How many miles to Babylon? 80 miles and 10. Can I get there by candlelight? Yes, and back again. If your hills are nimble and light, you may get there by candlelight. 3 wise men of Gotham went to sea in a bowl. If the bowl had been stronger, my story would have been longer. There's some songs in here. Hickory dickory dock, the mouse ran up the clock. The clock struck 1, the mouse, and down he run, hickory dickory dock. I had a little hobby horse, and it was dapple gray. Its head was made of pea straw, its tail was made of hay. I sold it to an old woman for a copper groat, and I'll not sing my song again without another coat. Little Miss Muffet sat on a tuffet, eating of curds and whey. There came a great spider who sat down beside her and frightened Miss Muffet away. Let's see. I'm trying to read one I know we hadn't read. Or that might have a different version of what we read last week. A woman who lived in a shoe. There wasn't a woman who lived in a shoe. She had so many children she didn't know what to do. She gave them some broth without any bread. She whipped them all soundly and sent them to bed. By that I always assumed she did a little love pat. Humpty Dumpty sat on a wall. Humpty Dumpty had a great fall. All the king's horses and all the king's men could not put Humpty Dumpty together again. Now, I'll go ahead and tell you that when you smack me a little sad when I was a kid. But it is just a nursery rhyme. Hot cross buns, 1 a penny, 2 a penny, hot cross buns. If you have no daughters, give them to your sons. 1 a penny, 2 a penny, hot cross buns. Handy Pandy, Jack-a-dandy, loves plum cake and sugar candy. He bought some at the grocer's shop, and out he came, hop, hop, hop. Bobby Shafto's gone to sea, silver buckles on his knee. He'll come back and marry me, pretty Bobby Shafto. Bobby Shafto's fat and fair, combing down his yellow hair. He's my love forevermore, pretty Bobby Shafto. Oh, you need to settle down. Rub-a-dub-dub, 3 men in a tub, and who do you think they be? The butcher, the baker, the candlestick maker. Turn 'em out, knaves, all 3. The Sea Princess. In a palace of pearl and seaweed, set round with shining shells, under the deeps of the ocean, the little Sea Princess dwells. Sometimes she sees the shadows of great whales passing by, or white-winged vessels sailing between the sea and sky. And when through the waves she rises beyond the breakers' roar, she hears the shouts of the children at play on the sandy shore, or sees the ship's side tower above like a wet black wall, or shouts to the roaring breakers and answers the seagull's call. And when the darkness gathers over the lovely deep, on a bed of velvet seaweed the princess is rocked to sleep. I thought that was cute because I don't remember hearing that one when I was a kid. It was a new one for me. The seasons. Spring is showery, flowery, bowery. Summer hoppy, croppy, poppy. Autumn wheezy, sneezy, freezy. Winter slippy, drippy, nippy. Baa, baa, black sheep, have you any wool? Yes, sir, 3 bags full. 1 for my master, 1 for my dame, 1 for the little boy that lives in our lane. Curly locks, wilt thou be mine? Thou shalt not wash dishes, nor yet feed the swine, but sit on a cushion and sew a fine seam, and feed upon strawberries, sugar and cream. One, 2, buckle my shoe. 3, 4, shut the door. 5, 6, pick up sticks. 7, 8, lay them straight. 9, 10, a good fat hen. 11, 12, dig and delve. 13, 14, maids are courting. 15, 16, maids in the kitchen. 17, 18, maids are waiting. 19, 20, my platter's empty. Pitty-pat poult, shoe the wild coat. Here a nail, there a nail, pitty-pat poult. Hey diddle diddle, the cat's in the fiddle. The cow jumped over the moon. The little dog laughed to see such a sport, and the dish ran away with the spoon. I told y'all last week that was, I loved that nursery rhyme when I was little. I saw three ships come sailing by, come sailing by, come sailing by. I saw three ships come sailing by on New Year's Day in the morning. And what do you think was in them then, and was in them then, was in them then? And what do you think was in them then on New Year's Day in the morning? Three pretty girls were in them then, were in them then, were in them then. Three pretty girls were in them then on New Year's Day in the morning. And one could whistle, and one could sing, and one could play on the violin. Such joy there was at my wedding on New Year's Day in the morning. Donkey, donkey, old and gray, open your mouth and gently bray. Lift your ears and blow your horn to wake the world this sleepy morn. I know my children have well, their grandparents, they have a donkey, and oh my word, I didn't know. I've not been around donkeys that much. We had a horse one time down here when I was younger. My grandparents did, but this donkey that they have is so loud, and the noise it makes, it really does set off an alarm. And if he ever sees someone pull up he's not familiar with, then he will start sounding the alarm. It's really loud. Little Jack Horner sat in a corner eating a Christmas pie. He put in his thumb and he pulled out a plum and said, "What a good boy am I." Doodle, doodle, doo, the princess lost her shoe. Her highness hopped, the fiddler stopped, not knowing what to do. Hush-a-bye, baby, on the treetop. When the wind blows, the cradle will rock. When the bough breaks, the cradle will fall. Down will come baby, cradle and all. Little boy blue, come blow your horn. The sheep's in the meadow, the cow's in the corn. Where's the little boy that looks after the sheep? He's under the haystack, fast asleep. Will you wake him? No, not I, for if I do, he'll be sure to cry. Girls and boys come out to play. The moon does shine as bright as day. Leave your supper and leave your sleep and come with your playfellows into the street, which we don't play in the street anymore. This was written back when it was dirt roads and horses and buggies. Come with a whoop, come with a call, come with a goodwill or not at all. Up the ladder and down the wall, a halfpenny roll will serve us all. You find milk and I'll find flour, and we'll have pudding in half an hour. Bow, wow, wow, whose dog art thou? Little Tom Tucker's dog, bow, wow, wow. Wouldn't it be funny, wouldn't it now, if the dog said moo and the cow said bow wow, if the cat sang and whistled and the bird said meow? Wouldn't it be funny, wouldn't it now? Smiling girls, rosy boys, come and buy me little toys, monkeys made of gingerbread and sugar houses painted red. And I didn't remember ever hearing that one either until I read it in here. And this one I'm a little excited about. It's also, I'm not sure, there may be another book or two that my mom gave me besides what I gathered up for today. I just grabbed some books up in the stack that we're going to read this week. But I know this is another one, and this one I don't remember ever reading it. So I think it goes back to like my dad's, might have been one of my dad's books or something, possibly. Mac Elegant's Pool, and it's by Dr. Seuss. It says, young man, laughed the farmer, you're sort of a fool. You'll never catch fish in McElligot's pool. The pool is too small, and you might as well know it. When people have junk, here's the place that they throw it. Of course, we've learned not to do that anymore. Nowadays, we go take the trash off or have the trash picked up. But environmentally speaking, that just isn't a good thing, is it? You might catch a boot, you might catch a can, you might catch a bottle, but listen, young man, if you sat 50 years with your worms in your wishes, you'd grow a long beard long before you'd catch fishes. Answered Marco, it might be you're right. I've been here 3 hours without one single bite. There might be no fish, but again, well, there might, 'cause you can never tell what goes on down below. This pool might be bigger than you or I know. This might be a pool like I've read of in books, connected to one of those underground brooks. An underground river that starts here and flows right under the pasture and then, well, who knows? It might go along down where no one can see, right under State Highway 203, right under the wagons, right under the toes of Mrs. Rosso who's hanging out clothes. It might keep on flowing, perhaps, who can tell, right under the people in Stevens Hotel, right under the grass where they're playing croquet, then under the mountains and far, far away. This might be a river, now mightn't it be, connecting Ellicott's pool with the sea? Then maybe some fish might be swimming toward me. If such a thing could be, they certainly would be. Some very smart fellow might point out the way to the place where I'm fishing, and that's why I say, if I wait long enough, if I'm patient and cool, who knows what I'll catch in McElligot's pool. I might catch a thin fish, I might catch a stout fish, I might catch a short or a very long drawn out fish. Any kind, any shape, any color or size, I might catch some fish that would open your eyes. I won't be surprised if a dogfish appears, complete with a collar and long floppy ears, woofing along, and perhaps he might chase a whole lot of catfish right straight to this place. I might catch a fish with a pinwheel-like tail. I might catch a fish who has fins like a sail. I might catch some young fish, some high-jumping friskers. I might catch an old one with long flowing whiskers. I might catch a fish with a long curly nose. I might catch a fish like a rooster that crows. I might catch a fish with a checkerboard belly, or even a fish made of strawberry jelly. I might catch a seahorse, now mightn't I now? I might catch a fish who is partly a cow. Some fish from the tropics, all sunburned and hot, might decide to swim up. Well, they might they not? Racing up north for a chance to get cool, full steam ahead for McElligot's pool. Some Eskimo fish from beyond Hudson Bay might decide to swim down, might he be headed this way. It's a pretty long trip, but they might and they may. I might catch an eel, well I might, it depends, a long thistling eel with a lot of strange bends, and oddly enough with a head on both ends. One doesn't catch this kind of fish as a rule, but the chances are fine in McElligot's pool. I might catch a fish with a terrible grouch, or an Australian fish with a kangaroo pouch. Who wants to catch small ones like a mackerel or trout? Say, I'll catch a sawfish with such a long snout that he needs an assistant to help him about. If I wait long enough, if I'm patient and cool, who knows what I'll catch in McElligot's pool? Some roughneck old lobster, all gristle and muscle, might grab at my bait, then would I have a tussle. To land one so tough might take 2 or 3 hours, but the next might be easy, the kind that likes flowers. I might catch some sort of a fast-moving bloke who zips with the waves with an overarm stroke. I might and I may, and that's really no joke. A fish even faster, a fish if you please, who slides down the sides of strange islands on skis. He might ski on over and pay me a visit. That's not impossible, really. Now, is it? Some circus fish from an acrobat school, might stage a big show in McElligot's pool. Or I might catch a fish from a stranger place yet, from the world's highest river in far off Tibet, where the falls are so steep that it's dangerous to ride them, so the fish put up chutes and they float down beside 'em. From the world's deepest ocean, from way down below, from down in the mud where the deep divers go, from down in the mire and the muck and the murk, I might catch some fish who were all going glurk. Whales, I'll catch whales, yes, a whole herd of whales, all spouting their spouts and all thrashing their tails. I'll catch 50 whales, then I'll stop for the day, 'cause there's nothing that's bigger than whales, so they say. Still, of course, it might be, and there is something bigger, some sort of a kind of a thingamajigger, a fish that's so big, if you know what I mean, that he makes a whale look like a tiny sardine. Oh, the sea is so full of a number of fish, if a fellow is patient, he might get his wish. And that's why I think that I'm not such a fool when I sit here and fish in the Elegant's pool. Well, the little boy's got a lot of patience and a very good imagination, doesn't he? But I did enjoy reading that. I really wasn't, didn't know that book existed until my mom gave that to me. Now this one, I know I have at least one other book that she was getting rid of and was nice enough to give to me, but this one isn't. This one, I'm just going to go ahead and read it. It's a cute story. It's called Over and Over by Charlotte Zolotow, pictures by Garth Williams. I know it talks about a holiday that me and my kids didn't celebrate, but a lot of people do. But it is a cute book. Once there was a little girl who didn't understand about time. She was so little that she didn't know about Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. She certainly didn't know about January, February, March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November, December. She was so little she didn't even know summer, winter, autumn, spring. What she did know about was all mixed together. She remembered a crocus once, but she didn't know then when. She remembered a snowman and a pumpkin and a Christmas tree and a birthday cake, a Thanksgiving dinner and Valentine's. But they were all mixed up in her mind. So one morning when she woke up and looked out of the window, she was very excited. "See, come, see what happened," she called. "The garden was white." "That's snow," her mother said. The little girl stared. The snow almost made her remember something. Something nice, but she couldn't remember exactly what. She only half remembered. "What comes next?" she asked. "Christmas," said her mother, and one day soon after it was. There was holly on the mantel with shiny pointed leaves and bright red berries. There was a Christmas tree in the corner of the room. There were red packages and white packages and green packages, and everyone opened everything. The floor was covered with tissue paper and with little cards saying Merry Christmas. The little girl loved Christmas, but she half remembered something else. "What comes next?" she asked that night. "Valentine's Day comes next," said her mother. The little girl woke up and went to sleep many times, and it snowed, and the wind blew. Then one day she woke up and the breakfast table was full of little envelopes for her. "For me?" she asked. "For you," her mother said. The little girl opened the envelopes. There were red hearts with white lace, and lace squares with purple violets. There were roses with stems and little poems. There were bright red hearts that said I love you, and all of them said Happy Valentine's Day. "For me?" said the little girl. "For you," said her mother, and the little girl was very happy, though she half remembered something else. "What comes next now?" she asked. "Easter," said her mother. The little girl waited. She woke up many mornings and went for many walks and had many baths. Then one morning the air was soft and warm, and the birds were singing outside, and the little girl went downstairs, and there was a big basket full of shiny green paper grass and a big chocolate egg with white icing on it, and there were some little fuzzy yellow chicks and one little bunny who played music when she wound him. I like Easter, the little girl said, but that night she asked, what comes next? Vacation comes next, said her mother, smiling. We are going to the seashore. The weather grew warmer and warmer. The crocus, the little girl remembered, bloomed again. The leaves came out on all the trees. The grass was thick and green. It was hot. One day the little girl's family got into the car with many suitcases, and off they drove to the seashore. There was a little house right on the beach, and the little girl found snail shells and clam shells and lovely shiny oyster shells. Every day she went swimming on the cool water. Every night she heard the waves pounding up and away from the sand when she went to sleep. But one day vacation was over, and the mother and father of the little girl got in their car and drove home. The house looked bigger than the little girl remembered, and all her toys seemed like new. The leaves began to turn red and yellow and brown, and the chrysanthemums bloomed. The little girl half remembered something again. What comes now? She asked. Halloween, said her mother. The little girl and her mother drove to the store and bought a big basket of apples and a jug of apple cider and some fresh warm donuts and a big pumpkin, and they took it home. The little girl watched her mother carve a big happy smile and a little triangular nose and two triangular eyes in the pumpkin. That night the little girl stood by the door, and every time the bell rang she opened up and saw people in their costumes. But they all said trick or treat, and the little girl handed them their treats, and they all went on their way. What comes next? She asked her mother the next day. Thanksgiving, her mother said. The little girl woke up one day to a delicious roasting smell and the fragrance of pies. That afternoon her grandmother and grandfather and uncles and aunts all came to her house for dinner, and afterward they sat in front of the fire and cracked open walnuts and ate the soft, sweet kernels. Does anything come now? The little girl asked that night. Oh yes, said her mother. The next thing that comes is a very special day, your birthday. And sure enough, one day the little girl woke up from her nap, and her mother dressed her in her party shoes and her party dress and combed her hair and washed her face. When she came downstairs, the little girl saw the house was full of balloons. There were red balloons, pink balloons, white balloons, blue balloons, and the table was set with a blue tablecloth and pink baskets of nuts and blue and pink flowers and funny pink and blue hats. The doorbell began to ring, and the little girl's friends kept coming with presents. When the presents were all open and everyone had played Ring Around a Rosie, they all sat down at the table. Then the little girl's mother brought in a cake with pink candles. Everyone sang happy birthday to you. Then the little girl made a wish and blew out the candles. What did you wish? Everyone asked her. I wish for it all to happen again, the little girl said. And of course, over and over, year after year it did. The end. I thought that book was very cute. I think we've got time for a short one. It's Walt Disney's Goofy and the Tiger Hunt. It's pictures by the Walt Disney Studio, adapted by Dick Moores and Samuel Armstrong. Whoops, got it. Goofy jumped high to grab a coconut, then came down with a thump on Plumpo, the elephant. Say up there, Plumpo called. Aren't you just a teensy bit worried about this tiger hunt? Not me, replied Goofy. Who's afraid of tigers? I'm just hot. Cool me off, will you, Plumpo? Plumpo smiled. I see you're new in the jungle, he said. Then he sprayed Goofy with his trunk and fanned him with his big ears. Ho-hum. Tiger hunting's pretty dull, Goofy sighed as they went farther and farther into the jungle. Let's stop for lunch. Plumpo stood still. Goofy let down the lunch basket and the ladder. Then he tried to climb down, but he caught first one foot, then the other, and then his toy gun. No one put Goofy No one but Goofy could have become so tangled. Plumpo reached up and helped him. Better not eat so much, Plumpo warned as he nibbled his hay and Goofy gobbled sandwich after sandwich. You may have to run. Run? What for? I'm going to take a nap. Goofy leaned back against a tree, closed his eyes. I'll watch out for trouble, Plumpo offered. Trouble? Here in this quiet place, murmured Goofy. Annie was asleep. Now, just as Goofy was going to sleep, Gaunt, the hungriest tiger in the jungle, was waking up. He yawned and stretched and sniffed, and he sniffed again. Ah, a hunter must be near. Yow, he screeched happily. Yow. Goofy jumped up. What's that? He shouted, and he scrambled up the ladder onto Plumpo's broad back. Only a tiger, Plumpo replied calmly. Go after him. No, Goofy hung on to the big elephant, terrified. But Plumpo lifted him down on the ground and handed him his toy gun. That way, he said, giving him a brisk shove. Goofy shivered and shook as he crawled around a tree. Wham! He was face to face with a snarling, hungry tiger. Wow! Screamed Goofy, leaping into the air. Gaunt the tiger thrust out a paw and caught him. Let me go, Goofy cried, but it was no use. The tiger pulled off one of Goofy's shoes and chewed it, thoughtfully. When he had finished the shoe, he slowly licked the bottom of Goofy's foot. Uh-oh, don't. That tickles. Goofy squirmed miserably. What could he do? Then he had an idea. As Gaunt pulled off the second shoe, Goofy took his watch from his pocket. Tick, 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 tick. What's that? Gaunt asked between bites of the shoe. Just something that tells me things, Goofy answered as calmly as he could. What does it say? Asked the tiger. It says, this isn't your lunchtime, Goofy answered slyly. Let me see. Gaunt dropped Goofy's shoe and grabbed the watch. That was just what Goofy wanted. He scrambled to his feet and ran, and as he had never run before, finally tired and out of breath, he leaned against a huge gray rock. This is the end, Goofy panted as he saw the tiger coming. At that moment, something odd happened. The rock moved. It was Plumpo. Gaunt sprang, but with a flourish of his trunk, Plumpo lifted Goofy out of reach. Then Plumpo sat down right on the tiger. Yes, he did. And he sat and he sat and sat while Goofy caught his breath. When Plumpo stood up at last, there was a nice tiger skin rug on the ground. And now, when Goofy's friends ask him about his tiger skin rug, he chuckles. Shucks, hunting tigers is nothing. You just sit like a bump on a log, that's all. That was an old one, and I can't believe that's all that we have time for. But we got lots of books, so I believe you are tuned in to Storytime with Nanny Day 46, and so we've got lots more books we'll be reading. I hope you come back, and I hope you have a great, blessed day.